Good morning, guys. It is Thursday, September 29th, I think. We're taking the GTR on this very cold morning. I should have brought a jacket or something. We are finally going to pick up the NSX. It is done at the shop. It's been almost a month and a half, if not longer. We're going back to drop this off at the garage. This car I just got back yesterday from Yanni. He detailed it, did the interior, the undercarriage, and all that. Let's see how it does in the cold. Pretty good. Started right up. It's like 8 o'clock right now. We are gonna drop this car off. Yanni's gonna pick me up in the Civic, and we're gonna head down to Street Works Automotive to pick up the NSX. So the car's been at the shop since like August 14th or 15th. So it's been basically a month and a half. They just went through all the car because it was an old build and we weren't sure what kind of maintenance has been done recently. So they went through everything, changed out fluids, checked the suspension components because something was loose. They changed out the axle. There was a couple bolts on the control arm I think were loose, so they fixed that. The clutch master cylinder. They upgraded my injectors with ID 1050s. Dyno tuned it yesterday. The car made not as much as I was expecting, but it made a lot more power than it did when the car went in for tune. So big improvement, not in just power, but also drivability, because that's what I'm after. I want a car that's turnkey. You can hop in, drive it without any issues, and park it, and then do it again the next day. They checked out my clutch. It's a twin disc clutch masters, so that's pretty cool, and the clutch was actually in pretty good shape. There was an issue with my alternator. It kind of like fried out, so they had to take the alternator apart, replace the internals, and they also put in 2 new gauges for me to replace that LCD screen that wasn't being used for anything. So now I have an oil pressure and temperature gauge, and I also have a wideband gauge. The car didn't have either of those when I got it. It only had fuel pressure gauge and a boost gauge, so now we have 2 more vital gauges. This thing is clean.
Yeah. So those are the M1 straps.
Oh, he's got Regas on here?
Mine's get bundled up.
Wow.
I should have yeah, so
Jeez, this thing went like for a full repaint.
And nobody's reading.
I love that.
We put fresh water in it.
Definitely needs a wash when we get back.
This is exactly the reason why I don't get rid of my laptops when I'm done with them.
Yeah, right?
Like when I get a new one, I have a stack of them in there. Every last one I ever used because you never know how to pull an old map out of them or anything.
The gauges look good. All right, guys. We finally made it back to the house. We got the NSX picked up. We got the GTR in the back. So huge shout out to Yanni for helping me get the car dropped off there, and also brought it back today. So it's also a really nice day to get this car driven back. So huge shout out to Street Works Automotive Tuning, for the whole team over there, Raul the tuner, and Jay, who did, I'm pretty sure, most of the mechanical work on this car as well. The car is absolutely filthy. It's been sitting at a shop. It's been sitting outside for 45 days. I mean, look at this. The black paint doesn't help either, but it just shows how filthy this car is right now. But more importantly, the car drives and runs night and day difference since when I got the car and when I dropped it off. So I was just double checking to make sure that the intercooler fluid was flowing through the whole system, because that wasn't working when I first got the car. And now I can see that water is going out and coming back in through the return line, so that's good. But let me tell you, the car literally runs flawlessly. Rule did a really good job on this car. So these are the new gauges that he installed. So these are the Innovate air fuel ratio gauge, and that's the oil temp and pressure gauge. And he actually 3D printed this gauge pod here. Let's go ahead and give it a start, see what it sounds like. I didn't get a chance to record before because I was taking the car for a test drive and making sure the car was driving well before Rule gave the car back to me. The 2-hour drive back, there was not a single hiccup with the car, and I figured out the car shoots a good amount of flames on D-cell, so I'm gonna have to get some nighttime shots of that. But let's go ahead and give this car a start. And keep in mind that tuning this car was not a simple task. The Motec that's in here is a 28-year-old ECU. It's from like the early 90s. It's almost as old as the car itself. It's older than me. So Raul had to tune it with this like ancient looking laptop. I think it was running Windows XP actually. So the fact that he was able to still support this ECU with, you know, old technology, old computer, and make the car run like nearly perfect, I think that was a really good job on his end. This car didn't make a lot of power. It made 360 wheel and 300 wheel torque on a Mustang dyno at like 12 psi boost. That's not a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, this car made baseline 260 wheel horsepower on 15 pounds of boost when the car was brought into them. So the car gained 100 wheel horsepower on 3 less pounds of boost on the same setup. No change in fuel, no change in turbocharger. We got bigger injectors. That's literally all we did. But the car runs, I can't even say, like 10-fold times better than the car when I brought it in. Like, I couldn't even bring it above 80 miles an hour without the engine starting to feel like it was suffering. So we did a bunch of pulls. The car ran great on the dyno. I'm gonna post a video right now. Sounded great. It feels like the thing has got a red line of like 15,000 RPM, but this car does have a red line about 7,800. But once the boost and the VTEC hits, this car feels great. Take it all the way to the red line, no problem. If we put this on a dyno jet or like a Dynapack, it would probably read closer to 400, maybe low 4s. The only thing that was holding me back from making more power, air temperatures. So the air temps, I think, was reaching about 75 Celsius on the top of the pole, and that was at 12 pounds of boost. So that's pretty hot. That's like around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So we could have went for more boost. The engine can handle it, the injectors can handle it, turbo can handle it. The car is built to make a lot of power, but the thing that was holding us back was the air temps that were getting too hot. So if you run too much boost and your air temps are too hot, then you're gonna blow something up, and we don't want that, because this car was meant to be reliable and to be able to be driven, you know, anytime I want without having to worry about something breaking. Yeah, that sounds good. The car didn't even rev that quickly when I gave the car to them. The car does shoot flames too on D-cell. Not at idle, but when you're driving, it shoots like flames like out to here, and it lasts for like a few seconds too. So hopefully I don't destroy my bumper from the flames getting too hot. But anyways, the car runs great. I'll have to get some videos of me driving it. But now, since we do have the car back, I've been dying to test fit the BBS LM wheels that I got. BBS of America. Let's unbox these. These are my first set of BBS LMs ever. The fronts are 18 by 8 and the rears are 19 by 10. There's a center cap. Here we go. I think these are the rears. They're pretty wide. Wow. Yeah, these are nice. This is unreal. So yep, 19 by 10 plus 40. Part number LM 119. There's a stamp. This is so sick. First BBS wheels ever. That's crazy. So what I was planning on doing, so you can do a reverse mount on the face. What that means is you take all these bolts off the wheel, right? The face comes off the barrel. And then you put the face, you slide it up from underneath the barrel. And then this surface of the face would be mounted on the opposite side of the barrel lip. And then you'll just bolt it back together. And that will expose more of the lip on the wheel. And technically it will give you a lower offset. But the only problem with that is sometimes the barrel, like underneath here, is not in the same finish as the actual lip. So then you have to basically get the whole barrel machined so the lip is like a nice polished finish. And it's gonna come out to a super high polish, and then you would clear coat the lips so that the maintenance is basically next to zero. All right, I think that's good. We have the wheel pretty much off the ground. I believe these are 17s or 19s. Let's see. $19. I have a pretty good feeling that these are going to fit, because the caliper on these, I mean, they're pretty big. They're 6-piston Willwoods, but I'm pretty sure these are like a custom made kit for this car, not by Willwood directly, but another company buys these and then they create a bracket to make it fit. So, and there's still a ton of pad life on it, so when the time comes to replace pads, I don't know how I'm gonna order it because I don't even know what kind of Willwood this is. Wow. They clear with so much room. That means the stop techs, the ones that I measured for these, are way thicker. Because there's like an inch of clearance behind the face. And it doesn't hit the barrel or anything. The bolts, not even close. Look, I'm spinning it. Doesn't hit anything. There's so much clearance. That's meant. That fits so good. Look at this. There's literally, if getting the car and making it run right didn't make my day, which obviously it made my whole month, even though it's the end of the month. This, oh, look how much room there is. This tops it all off. Now I can order tires. But before we speak too soon, let's test fit the rears. Well, my camera just died, which makes sense because it's been sitting in the NSX for the past 45 days without being charged because I left this in the car. Stupid me. But anyways, let's put this rear on. Go with wide angle. And there we go. It's mint. That looks so good. And I think it's gonna fit pretty flush once it's like lowered with the tires on. But yeah, look at that, look at the clearance. There's like about the same. I would say maybe like 10 millimeters of clearance between the rear caliper and the face. But yeah, it's not rubbing anything. We have clearance against the coilover. It's not gonna hit the strut. If anything, we have the extended studs. So we could always run, you know, a couple millimeter spacer, 5 millimeter spacer, whatever we want to make sure that it clears. Because I want to have good fitment. But not having to use any spacer at all makes me really happy, because I was worried that it might hit. This is good news. Love it. You guys think I should wrap this car? PPF color change? I wouldn't do a regular vinyl wrap. I would do the PPF. Yeah, this car is definitely not that ceramic coated, if at all. Maybe. I might clean it up and get some pictures with the GTR. So I'm just giving it a bath because it's filthy. But Will, my buddy and photographer, just hit me up on Instagram, and he's like, yo, when are we gonna take pics? So I was like, right now. I'm like, and he's like, bet, on my way. So I was like, all right, perfect, because I'm washing the car, because this car's gonna be filthy in the day. I have such hard water, so I gotta like rinse this off immediately, or else it starts to stain. So you gotta keep it wet all the time. All right, so Will just showed up. He brought his Supra. It's up at the house. We brought the NSX and the GTR down. We have it kind of like semi-staggered V setup. He's gonna do some videos. He's also doing some pictures. His description will be down below. But I had to give the NSX a wash. It was so dirty. Probably spent like an hour on this. Not too much time. But it's looking clean again. Clean up the wheels too. I didn't do any like tire shine or anything fancy like that. Yanni detailed the GTR. It's looking fantastic. He cleaned up the tires. I don't know if you guys remember, but the tires were like all brown on the sides. The guy must have driven through like mud or something. But he lifted the whole car up. He cleaned the wheel wells, the undercarriage. He cleaned the wheels, and of course, the tires. So now they're looking very nice. I think he also mentioned that he cleaned up the calipers too, to give the Nissan a little bit more pop. Those are obviously the original calipers. They still look pretty good, but the red on this is popping. It looks amazing. Here's another angle. Love this. All right, he's filming. Here we go. This angle is sick.